Hello, my name is Mary Buford Turnage, and I'm a Scientist and Parks Fellow at Dinosaur National Monument this summer. My project is called Applied Geospatial Imaging Technology for Wildlife and Plant Conservation at Dinosaur National Monument, and I am also a master's student at Tufts University studying conservation medicine. This is a roadmap of my presentation, and it is more for people watching this later via the recording. So Dinosaur National Monument is located at the border of Colorado and Utah and has two main entrances, one in each state. In Dinosaur, Colorado, contains more of the canyon and river corridors and more of the physical acreage of the monument, and is the location of the Natural Resources Headquarters and River Program Headquarters for the monument, while the Jensen, Utah side contains more archaeological sites and dinosaur fossils for visitors to visit and learn about. There are mountain, desert, canyon, and river habitats, making it a very interesting natural resource and ecology site. It is over 200,000 acres and contains over 92 miles of river, and those are the Green and the Yampa rivers. So the Green River comes down from the north from Flaming Gorge Reservoir and is a dammed river, meaning it's controlled and it always has some amount of water in it, a certain amount of water. The Yampa comes in from the east and is wild, it's not controlled by a dam, and those two rivers meet in Echo Park in the middle of the monument and then travel together south as the Green River towards Canyonlands and later join the Colorado River. And you can see that the Colorado side contains a higher portion of the park itself. So my role in the monument was to apply GIS techniques and analysis to pre-existing projects to advance them and use and visualize their data. The first project I'm going to talk about is Leafy Spurge. So Leafy Spurge is an invasive plant that is native to Eurasia, and it is currently an issue on farmlands in the northern Great Plains region of the United States. And this is because it grows on pastures and farmland and cannot be eaten by cows or horses because it makes them sick, and cannot be dealt with heavily by humans because it also causes allergic reactions and rashes due to the toxic latex sap within it. Around Dinosaur National Monument, it travels down the Yampa River into the monument, especially when it's super rainy and floods, and sweeps the seeds into the river. It is herbicide resistant for the most part, and the few herbicides that are permitted are not permitted for around water, which, since the monument is so heavily riparian, is not really an option in the monument for the most part. So the two methods of management that do work are hand pulls, which is taking a raft down the Yampa and physically pulling the weeds out yourself, and also biocontrols, which is releasing insects that naturally prey on leafy spurge and using them to manage the patches and make them just less prominent, and that helps to stop the spread further downstream. And it's really important that we do manage leafy spurge in the monument, because otherwise it can continue to travel downstream into the Colorado River, which is a major water source for a lot of places and a lot of farmland in southern Utah in the west. So my job here is to communicate the management efforts, specifically the biocontrol efforts, to the people in the monument and also in the surrounding communities, because this is a partnership between the farmlands, where the leafy spurge is a big issue, and also the monument, where it is becoming an increasing issue as well. And so I made a story map using ArcGIS tools to help communicate between the partnership in the community outside of the monument and within. So this is geared towards anybody who wants to learn about leafy spurge or invasive plants, to talk about what the park is doing, why it's important, and what anybody can do about it. So these are some screenshots. This is the title slide. I wanted to show you all a little bit about what it looks like. Here is a little infographic I made to show the flow of leafy spurge into the monument. And this is a little graphic that actually moves as you scroll in the map, and different insects appear at different times to show you the different biocontrols So you can learn about each different one. There are 2 beetles and a larva and a moth that all prey on Leafy Spurge. Okay, so the second project was on Bighorn sheep, and there is an ongoing population assessment in the monument. And that is to assess the impact of the landscape and the canyons and the river on the populations to determine if there are more than one population or if they're separated by habitat, and later to do genetics on the sheep to see if they're healthy, or to see where they come from, to see if how many lineages of sheep there are in the monument. So my job here was mostly on using data from 3 years worth of data collection to put together and organize to later be used in a scientific report. And this data came in 2 forms: the pellets, which is the poop of the bighorn sheep, and effort, which was a measure of how difficult it was to find the pellet samples at each location to measure how often the sheep use that location. And with these information, I put them together into different feature classes for use in ArcGIS maps, and then put them into maps and organize them into geodatabases that will be used later when genetic information is available and can be put into maps now for reports as well. So this is a flow chart of my workflow on the bighorn sheep pellet and effort data. It has less of a pretty deliverable, but did take a lot of tools and work, so that's what that is. The third project is on Spheranthis diluvialis, which is an orchid, and I'm going to talk about that next. So this Spheranthis is a trussus orchid, and it grows in the Lador Canyon along the northern Green River in the monument, and is the park's only federally listed species, and it is listed as threatened. There have been several monitoring trips in the past that counted flowers, and our job this year was to do another one of those trips to monitor how the population is doing. It does really well on riverbeds with constant but light water, so he likes to get its feet wet is one thing we like to say. And you can see this picture of me right here. It's kind of flat. All of this vegetation here has access to water pretty periodically because it's so low down. And I'm going to talk about my job in this. So my job here was to create a survey using ArcGIS Collector to use on the river. And we took a 5-day river trip down Lador Canyon to take data using my survey. And on the survey, you can see these little green polygons with numbers on them. There were over 100 polygons. Each one had a number. We would take the rafts. You can see me practicing rowing. We would take the rafts down the river, stop at each polygon, and take data on the number of plants, on where they were in their development, and any other comments that we needed. We would take also. And this included actually 6 maps for the different locations, because I needed base maps that would load in the field offline. And so if I had only 1 map or 2, then we wouldn't be able to use it offline because it wouldn't load fast enough. So you can see a picture of all the layers and web maps that I made for this project. And this was really fun because it got me out on the river for multiple days, and I was camping a lot. And I essentially walked the entire river instead of rafting it like most people do, which was pretty fun. In conclusion, I worked on 3 different projects, which was really fun because I got to dabble in a bunch of different areas of natural resources, and I got to work on rivers and go on hikes and going camping, and I am really happy with how the summer turned out for me and the products that I got to work on. A little bit more about me is that my interests, aside from this monument, are in One Health and kind of the intersection of human, animal, and environmental health. And my strengths are in GIS at the moment. So I have pictures here of other story maps that I've created for different purposes in the past. I am an alumni of Bates College as well, and I am looking forward to seeing where my career goes from here. I would like to thank Emily Spencer, Jessica Johnson, and all the other people that have supported me this summer. And if anybody has any questions, I would like to hear them now.